joining us now on the show, and I appreciate him taking Easter Sunday morning out. He's got to do his job tonight, but Shane Hnidy, the club analyst for the Vegas Golden Knights, and with Script Sports, also does the Monday show on Prime, Amazon Prime. Shane, really appreciate you joining us this morning.
Hey guys, yeah, it's a good day. First game one of playoffs here for VGK. Always exciting.
It really is. And I mean, we were just talking about it a second ago. This team in their 8 years, it's unprecedented, Shane. I've never seen anything like it. I don't think anybody has. I was there on day one when the first six arrived here in Vegas, and Braden McNabb had no idea who he was. Maybe one of the greatest blue-collar defensemen in the history of the league. I mean, the plus-minus, that can't be taken for granted. This guy is plus 42, number 2 in the National Hockey League, a guy that just grinds it out, shows up every night, and is a workaholic when it comes to defense. And he is so well respected on the ice and off the ice. And I say on the ice, we don't see him fight a lot. And that's kind of guys know he's a quiet assassin. They don't want to fight him.
Well, he's a throwback for me for the type of defenseman, fighting's down. It's not what it was 10, 15, 20, and certainly 40 years ago. But I look at Braden McNabb, and maybe the best way it's put is, Bruce said maybe the most underappreciated defenseman, because you look at him and you're not going to be wowed by anything he does. His teammates and his fans and the fan base certainly know his value, and that's all that matters. He's a guy that just goes about his business every day. The hardest thing to stay in this league, longevity, especially if you're not a high-end skilled player, is consistency and durability. He's been able to provide both. I think and he's such a calming presence for Shea Theodore. There's such a good match because Theodore's allowed to have that roam. He's a drives the offense from the blue line. He's the guy that can get up the ice. And there's a comfort feeling when you're that type of player to know you have a Braden McNabb that's just going to do all the little details. Such a high intelligent player, smart, the way he utilizes his sticks. So, yeah, very important to this team. Just one of the other important pieces, as you mentioned. It's incredible what they've been able to do here in the 8 seasons.
Every year the trading deadline comes, you pick up a guy like Barbashev a couple years ago, a guy like Noah Hannafin. They just find the guys that fit. And of course, this year they bring back Riley Reed, real popular player here in Las Vegas, one of the original Misfits. And, a guy, obviously, as you mentioned, Braden McNabb gets a ton of love on this show. We talk about him a lot, but another guy you can't help talk about, one of the best players in the National Hockey League. I don't think underappreciated in any way. Little disappointing that he didn't get to the 94 points, a little bit banged up at the end of the season. I mean, the 100 points, ended up with 94, 28 goals, 66 assists. What can you say about a guy like Jack Eichel and how important he is? And you talk about Braden McNabb, a plus 42. Jack Eichel's second on the team with a plus 32.
Well, I think that's it for Jack Eichel. He's the top 5 centerman in the National Hockey League, which is not easy. He's an elite centerman, two-way centerman that plays both ends of the ice. So I think for Jack, and he comes in the league so young in Buffalo, I think he measures success by goals, assists, points. But that's the maturation process of a player like him who's so competitive. That's something that stuck out to me as soon as they acquired Eichel. To get a number 1 center in this league, there's not many of them that play the way he does. Both ends of the ice, puts up the points, but he matured into understanding, okay, I got to play a certain way in my own end, and it's fit here. So he's a guy that wants that responsibility on both sides of the puck. If they're down a goal, he wants to be the difference maker, the X factor, providing a goal. If they're have a lead, he wants to be on the ice. Power play, penalty kill. He plays all facets of the game, and he plays it all at a high level. And to be a championship team, you need that guy. That's why credit to George McPhee and Kelly McCrimmon. Year one, incredible run, but that fast forwarded their kind of process for this team, and they went out and acquired Mark Stone, Alex Pietrangelo, and then Jack Eichel, and that's what made them a Stanley Cup champion and makes them a perennial contender. Is having a guy, and yeah, what a season for Eichel offensively, but it's still, whether the points, the goals, points, assists are there, he still does so many things at an elite level.
He really does. And we're talking to Shane Hnidy, the color analyst for the Vegas Golden Knights Script Sports. And it's too bad we can't see Shane because he's one of the best dressed guys in the league. When you see him on television, the guy, you never know what he's going to wear. You just know it's full of class. And and a great color analyst, by the way, that we enjoy watching and hearing your expertise on the show. As much as Jack Eichel has meant to this team, and you talk about a great draft, he went second behind Connor McDavid. A lot of people forget that, as elite as it gets. But you mentioned Mark Stone, the first guy to have a C put on his sweater. And could there have been a better choice for a guy to wear a C? I don't know that anyone gets more excited, not just when he scores, when anybody scores. This guy is truly a leader inside and outside the locker room. Man, if this guy could stay healthy for 75 games a season, which this year he stayed healthy for most of the season. But Mark Stone is such an integral cog for this team, Shane.
Well, he's an emotional leader, and no question about it. And I think that was probably their first big trade to bring him in. That when they recognize, oh, hey, we made the finals in year one, we've got we've got to build this team quicker. You can't just be patient. And the acquiring Stone was kind of that first really big piece to put them in that kind of contention area. And he's a unique player, but he's so highly skilled. And so well respected. You're right. I think he is a great leader for this team. It's been unfortunate with the injuries that he has had to battle through. This is probably one of his healthiest seasons, so that's a good thing. And I think this is the healthiest we've seen this team come into playoffs. Now, knock on wood, whatever you need to knock for luck. That's one of the keys if you want a long playoff run is you've got to have a little bit of health on your side. So hopefully that maintains, especially for a guy like Stone, because I think you get to playoffs too. He's a guy that elevates his game. That's what great players do. They elevate their game at the most important time of the season, and we've seen it from Stone. So another guy like Eichel, you're going to see him in all situations, whether it's penalty kill, power play. So he's on both sides, whether it's trying to get a goal or trying to protect a goal lead, and just integral to the success here of the Golden Knights.
Yeah, no question. No, and those are two guys, Stone and another guy, Shea Theodore, that seem to battle health problems almost every year. Shea gets hurt in to me, one of the best All-Star classics ever. The Four Nation Shootout was incredible this year, and Shea gets hurt there, but luckily able to come back in time because you've got to have him on the ice. And I agree with you. That pairing of him and Braden McNabb is as good as any defensive pairing in the National Hockey League. And those two guys healthy and playing, and Braden's always healthy, whether he is or not. Well, you never know it. He's on the ice every game. But that is gigantic for them. And the oldest cliche in sports, Shane, defense wins championships. The last line of defense is goaltender. We saw in the Stanley Cup run that Adin Hill has elite ability. Nobody knew when he was sitting on the bench for the San Jose Sharks that this guy was going to turn into what could be an elite goaltender. Won the Stanley Cup for the Vegas Golden Knights. And when I say won it, many people won it. It took a team effort, but Adin Hill was the last line of defense that shored everything up. He got healthy towards the playoffs. He got excited. He had a great goaltender behind him in Jonathan Quick coming over that could talk to him and guide him through, that had played in two Stanley Cup finals himself. And Adin Hill, I think this year, more than any other year, has to be the guy in that last line of defense that the Vegas Golden Knights can depend on.
No, absolutely. You don't win without goaltending, and you look at kind of the curve of his career. It certainly for me started when he came in and the Stanley Cup year, which they won, and that put his name. So now all of a sudden his name's on the map. So now he's got to prove to himself that he can do it consistently. Unfortunately, the following season, some injuries came in, but played well. This to me was Adin Hill's year. He came in the last year of his contract. He bet on himself. They targeted if he could play 50 games, that would be great. He played 50 games. Health was key. He was healthy all year long. He gets named to Team Canada in the Four Nations tournament. He doesn't play, but practicing every day with those guys, the best of the best shooters. You're out there in practice, and especially if you're the backup, you're seeing more shots than anybody, and that can do nothing but work favors for your game. And he came out of that. I think coming out of that Four Nations Cup, one of the most important things for a team, individual, whatever, is confidence. So he gets named to that team. That boosts the confidence. He goes there, doesn't play, gets a beat chance, a teammate of them winning the tournament. He gets signed. He gets his 6-year extension. And then he's healthy. And I think he played his best hockey we've seen down the stretch. He's had a full year now being the number one guy. He comes through it playing like spades. He has the trust of his teammates, which is so important. They believe in him. And I just think he's at a mental state right now as where you want your goalie, because so much mentally goes into any sport as much as there is physically. He's in a really good spot here for them to start playoffs, and he's going to be their guy.
I agree with you. Now we talk about the first round matchup. The Vegas Golden Knights played the Minnesota Wild 3 times during the regular season. Last time, 5-1. They beat them March 25th, so not too long ago. Across the ice, talking about the last line of defense, Philip Gustafson, pretty good himself, but the guy backing him up that may see maybe between the pipes for a game or two. When we talk about goaltenders, a guy they might build a statue to here when it's all said and done in Marc-Andre Fleury, who got this team started, was the premier in the class of the Vegas Golden Knights for the first 3 seasons that they were in existence. Might be his last year between the pipes. I don't know whether he's going to retire, if he's officially announced that or not. What does it mean for Marc-Andre Fleury to come back here and potentially end his career playing against the Vegas Golden Knights?
Oh, I'm not sure. That'd be a question for him. Certainly, he's been the backup there. Gustafson's been the clear number one, and he'll be their guy they go to. You can't deny what Marc-Andre Fleury's career was, what he meant here initially to the Vegas Golden Knights. He's certainly not the same player. One thing athletes, as a former one, you can't fight is age. But that said, I'm sure he wants to win. That's the competitor, and you don't play that long. You don't have a Hall of Fame career without being an ultra competitor. But that said, I think the Golden Knights, their focus will be on Gustafson and a Minnesota team that's very good. They had severe health issues all year, but they are healthy now. So this will be more like the version the Golden Knights saw in December of Minnesota than they saw more recently. This will be a team that was playing extremely well into December before they got hit by injuries to their stars. So there's no easy path to the NHL. There's no easy series. Round one, two, three, and four. It is to me the hardest trophy to win for that reason.
I agree with you 100% on that. What is it going to take for the Vegas Golden Knights not to have a letdown? Because you mentioned both these teams have the ship righted at the right time as far as health goes. What, in your opinion, does it take for Vegas to beat Minnesota and move on?
Depth. I think depth and and it always comes down to you can't try and force play. So we hear Bruce Cassidy use the word, you can say puck management, puck decisions, patience. Minnesota defends really well, so you can't force plays. And I think that, and then just the depth of the Golden Knights. They're 4 line 6D goaltending. They are a deep team. Some of their bottom six have had career years. Whether you look at Waugh or Colasar, Howden, who has played. He's just been a Swiss Army knife throughout the lineup. But a 20-goal season playing on your fourth line. You got Carlson and Smith reunited with Olofsson. It's been great. So is that your bottom six? I don't know. I don't even know if you can number their lines because they're so deep. Because I haven't even mentioned Eichel and Hurdle lines, which are dynamic. So that's the strength of this team. Certainly, they're one of the best defending teams. They have one of the best defensive groups in the league. So this is a team that was built to win. But when you can talk about that, you can put all the comparisons, and now it's on the players to go out and execute. And that's what we'll wait and see here as playoffs start here in Vegas tonight.
And a young guy like Pavel Dorofeev. I mean, what a year for this guy to step up and really, people were wondering where are the goals that Jonathan Marchessault left behind. A guy like Pavel Dorofeev and even a guy like Ivan Barbashev answered that question.
Oh yeah, I think there's confidence. You see certain things in players, and Dorofeev was one of the ones. It's always nice to be right when you're an analyst and say, I think Dorofeev's going to be able to provide a lot of offense, and then you're going to have the growth and emergence of other guys, which usually happens. You could see it in him. His elite shot, his ability to score different ways, and I think he was a guy who could go to the front end. He could be there for the rebounds and battle, and then go in the summer. This is what you want for a young guy in their progression. Is he got bigger, stronger, faster, and He comes in, had a tremendous training camp, and you could just see the potential there. Now, seeing potential is one thing, and then him going out and do it's another. But it is a hard league to score in, and he proved that he's going to be an elite scorer not only this year, but I think there's a lot of room for his game to even elevate more. So, and a big part of that now it'll be his first playoff run. Things change, everything's magnified, every play, every little detail to the game, the intensity, the emotion, momentum swings, all of that is magnified. And I think he just has a calm demeanor about him that he should be able to adjust very quickly.
Can't argue with that. 35 goals, led the Vegas Golden Knights this year in that category. And I agree with you, just a tremendous upside. This could be a future annually 30 to 40 goal scorer for the Vegas Golden Knights. They look for that. Tomas Hertl, one of the greatest acquisitions, healthy most of the year, had a cheap shot that kept him, that had him miss 9 games, but a guy that's going to be integral. Shane, before I let you go, 2 things. One, I got to put you on the spot because the show's called Out of Line. Who wins this series and in how many games?
I think the Golden Knights win this series. No question, they should. I don't in games. It's hard to win. Boy, let's say 6, 5 or 6. I'm horrible at predicting stuff. I always like to just see it play it out.
Well, I'm saying Vegas Golden Knights in 5 games. I think that they handle the Minnesota Wild, but they're definitely not to be overlooked. And finally, what are you wearing tonight?
Oh, I'm sure it'll be gold something, black something. I haven't figured that out. You don't want me on camera this morning. I'm in my gym here. I'd have a conversation with you. Then I got to get a sweat in and then get ready for morning skate. But I haven't picked it out. I think I'm gonna probably wear something that I trying to remember what I wore for game 1 in 23 playoffs. So I may have to go back in the photos, but that's what I'll look to wear.
I like it. That gets them started on the right path. Shane Hnidy, happy Easter to you, and thank you for taking time out this morning to join the show.
Absolutely, guys. Thanks for having me. Let's enjoy the run here.
Go Knights, go.